Yeah. I reminisce for a spell, or shall I say think back 22 years ago to keep it on track. The birth of a child on the 8th of October. A toast, but my granddaddy came sober. Count all the fingers and the toes, now I suppose you hope the little black boy grows. 18 years younger than my mama, but I really got beatings cause the girl loved drama. In single parenthood, there I stood. By the time she was 21, had another one. This one's a girl, let's name her Pam.
And ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first edition of the Eazy and Scuba Steve show. I'm Scuba Steve. Alongside me, Eazy. Eric is on tap. We're on here to discuss some sports betting, and why not kick off the first show with some talk on some World Cup props?
Yeah, man, I've been waiting for the World Cup ever since it ended in 2014. Ever since the final whistle blew after Götze scored that game-winning goal for Germany. So. Can't wait to get into this. Super excited for it.
We had some teasers, obviously, a couple of years ago with Copa America, the Euro 2016 tournament. Copa America won by Chile, who are not in the World Cup,
right,
surprisingly. And then we also have the Euro 2016 winner. So surprising team to come out of that with Ronaldo being injured early on is Portugal with that extra time winner to win the Euros. But both those teams, so Chile's on the tournament. Portugal is not even close to a favorite. The four teams that are favorites for this World Cup right now is Spain, the defending champs Germany, Brazil, and France. Eric, let's just get started on it. Like, which team do we like? Do you like to win the World Cup?
I honestly really like Spain this year. I think they underperformed in the 2014 FIFA World Cup. They got to the semis of the 2016 Euros. They lost to France 2-0. That was Germany. But I really like Spain to do well in this tournament. I think the draw is set up really nice for them. I'll discuss that more later. But I think if Diego Costa can get on the score sheet a lot and Spain's midfield can dominate the game, I think they have a really good chance to go through. What about you?
So Spain is currently plus 605 to win the World Cup. I mean, that might be a favorable bet for Eric to do if he feels so confident. For me, I'm really seeing Brazil as the team with the most talent, a terrific attacking core, starting with Neymar, arguably one of the best players in the world. You also have Philippe Coutinho. You also have Roberto Firmino. You also have Willian. You have depth to this attacking group. You have a pretty good midfield, good defense, and I say he's a pretty good goalie. Alisson just led Roma to the Champions League semifinals.
Well, here's what I'm going to say. I like that Brazil pick too because look at the 2014 World Cup. I thought they had two weaknesses, goalkeeper and striker. This year, they have Alisson, who, in my opinion, is a top 6 goalkeeper in the world. Plays for Roma, had a fantastic year for them. And also striker now, you have two guys, Roberto Firmino and Gabriel Jesus, who both of them are huge upgrades over what they had in 2014. I'm pretty sure they started Fred in the World Cup 2014. So I think either of those guys can get the job done, although I would go with Jesus, but that's just more of a personal choice.
Right, exactly. Gabriel Jesus just continues to give you the big names that are intriguing us on the club level, and now they're on the same team. We are curious to see how they're going to be doing, especially with some of the guys returning from that 2014 team. They should be having a chip on their shoulder after that 7-1 thrashing by Germany against Brazil in that semifinal.
Especially Neymar, too, because he left the field injured in that quarterfinal versus Colombia. Wasn't able to take part in the rest of the tournament. I would hope that really discouraged him, and I think he's going to come in ready to show people what he's made of this tournament.
Brazil plus 325 to win the tournament. Let's actually get started. So we got Spain from you, Brazil for my pick. We'll keep that on the record.
We'll keep that on record. One more reason I like Spain, David De Gea. The guy's an absolute beast. So if he gets hot, who knows? He's also, in my opinion, the best goalkeeper in the world right now. So we'll see.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. I mean, the last 3 World Cup winners, you look at 2006, Italy, you have Gianluigi Buffon. 2010, you have Spain, you have Iker Casillas. And then 2014, the last World Cup, you have Manuel Neuer. So it seems like the recipe right now to win a World Cup is to have a terrific goalie and some good defense as putting on the goals when you need to, and then also there's luck that plays on the World Cup as well.
It always helps if you can't concede, right?
Absolutely.
It always helps if the other team doesn't score goals.
So
yeah.
Let's get started on this. We'll start with Group A with the host Russia, along with Egypt, Uruguay, and Saudi Arabia. We're looking at the odds to win the group, and slight favorites to win will be Uruguay. They are minus 145 to top the group, and I think the both of us, we can agree that this is really a really good pick to choose Uruguay in Group A. We just don't see Egypt, Russia, or Saudi Arabia putting up any competition on that first spot.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think Russia and Saudi Arabia are just terrible. Egypt, they're okay, but Mo Salah's coming back from injury. That's going to be tough. I think he'll be tired, too, from the club season. Uruguay have the best roster in this group by far. I mean, just the striker duo of Edison Cavani and Luis Suarez is better than anything else in this group. And I think they have the most experienced team with guys such as Diego Godin as well, leading that defense. So at minus 145, I think that's one of the better picks for this tournament, having Uruguay finishing first in that group.
So then the argument is for that number 2 spot. So much
Right.
competition there. You have pretty much, it seems like Egypt and Russia will be the two teams vying for that second spot. In my opinion, I can see Egypt going through just with that Mo Salah effect. It seems like he might be starting the game on the bench for that first match against Uruguay.
Which would help us. That really helps the Uruguay finishing first.
Absolutely. I mean, if Uruguay is able to have a decent-sized lead, 2-3 goal lead, heading to halftime or late in the game, does Egypt have any point in putting in Mo Salah in a game that's pretty much as an automatic loss at that point?
Yeah.
And then keep him healthy for the matches that are going to really matter. They're going to have to win then against Russia, and they're going to have to win against Saudi Arabia. A lot of people think that Egypt and Saudi Arabia are going to draw in that match, but if Salah can get things in order, if he's completely healthy and Egypt maintains him well enough, then I think that Egypt has a good shot to beat Saudi Arabia and then have a better chance of making it to the quarterfinal.
Yeah, all I'm going to say is I think it's very questionable that Russia and Saudi Arabia are in the same group. I think they're the two worst teams in this World Cup. So that's interesting because Russia's the host nation.
By the way, I didn't mean quarterfinal. That's not going to happen. I believe Egypt will just be bounced in the round of 16. They would have to face the winners of Group B, and the winner would probably be Spain. They're the favorites to take that group. So it would be Spain against Egypt in that round of 16 match. And then Uruguay, we believe, is a safe bet, really good pick, great odds at minus 145. Then we also have, I think we're going to have Portugal winning, or taking the number 2 spot in Group B.
Right.
We don't see Morocco or Iran giving any some sort of difficulty for those two teams.
Yeah, just going back to Group A too. Whoever finishes second will lose in the opening round of the knockout stage, the last 16. I personally like Egypt at plus 205 to exit the last 16 because Spain or Portugal, they'll lose to either one of those teams. It's just a matter of how much risk you're willing to put into this because that number 2 spot's up for grabs if Salah isn't as healthy as we all think. But if I had to go one way, I would definitely lean towards Egypt.
And Egypt, their odds to be eliminated in the group stage it could be Value Town, and also the other pick, them being eliminated in the last 16, that could be Value Town as well. I'd be more reluctant to choose Egypt's elimination in the last 16 at plus 205. I mean, the odds of them making it to the quarterfinals is, I believe, it's impossible.
Yeah.
Once you go up against a powerhouse like Spain, I just don't see any chance. I don't see the Mo Salah magic in that effect.
No, it's just a difference in quality. Just a difference in quality.
Absolutely. And you're not talking about just 1v1. You're talking about an entire team. And Spain pretty much checks all the check marks.
Spain plays the team game with that midfield and their passing. It's a sight to behold. But we can move on to the next group now if you want to do that.
No problem. Group B, so pretty easy, Spain and Portugal going through. Let's talk about Group C. Group C is similar to Group A. We have a powerhouse team in France that will probably top that group. And then you have 3 teams that are going to be vying for that second spot. And I think, in my opinion, I'm going to go with Denmark and Peru. Those 2 teams will have the best chance of vying for that second spot. And I believe Denmark will go through to the last 16. I have them winning a match, losing a match, and drawing a match. They're going to beat Australia. They're going to draw to Peru. Pardon me. They're going to beat Australia, and then they'll eventually lose to France. I believe France goes undefeated in this group.
Yeah, I really don't. It would be an absolute shocker if France dropped points in this group. I just don't see it happening. Also, I do think Denmark and Peru are going to be very, very neck and neck, very close as to who finished second, especially with the return of Peru striker Pablo Guerrero from suspension. But I do like Christian Eriksen for Denmark, and I think he has a decent enough team around him to finish second in that group, which also brings me up to my next point of Denmark at plus 150 to be eliminated in the last 16. Look, they're not finishing first in this group. That's France's spot for sure. And if they make it to the last 16, which I think they will most likely face Argentina, but they could also face Croatia. I think both of those teams would wipe the floor with Denmark, just quality-wise. Even Croatia, you have guys such as Modric and Mandzukic, Rakitic, Kovacic. And Perisic. I think that's a really pretty good team. Really a underrated team in my opinion. I think Denmark would lose to both of those teams.
Peru, they got a big piece of news with Paolo Guerrero being available for the World Cup. He's going to add some attacking prowess to this Peru squad, who a lot of people didn't believe they were going to be vying for a spot in the World Cup, let alone they've qualified and they're here in Group C. I'm going, France and Denmark. I might have a bit of a bias towards the Danish team because I'm a big Tottenham fan with Eriksen being on that squad. I always look out for the best for him. It was really fun seeing Eriksen in that in the World Cup playoff, the qualifying playoff against Ireland with that hat trick in Ireland.
In a must-win game, right?
Yeah, that was a must-win game.
After they drew 0-0 at home,
mm-hmm.
and they had to go on the road and won 5-1. That was very impressive. I'll give them that. But I like Denmark, but just be wary of this group. Be wary of the second place finish. It can get interesting. That's for sure.
I agree. When we come back, we'll talk about more of the groups. We'll continue with the groups. We'll start with Group D, headlined by Argentina and Croatia. When we're back on the Eazy and Scuba Steve show.
We're here asking people from all over what they think of Lipton green tea. Let's hear what people from Texas have to say. Mm-mm. How about China?
Mm.
Germany?
Mm.
How about people from the North Pole?
Mm.
Or Mars? What about mimes? Oh, right. People with their jaws wired shut?
Oh.
Yeah, a barbershop quartet. Oh, you guys are great. How about race car drivers? What about you, high school glee club, here on a field trip? Well, that settles it. It sounds like everyone loves the taste of Lipton green tea. With its protective antioxidants from real tea, it's not just good for you, it's to you. Lipton tea can do that.
Yeah, I'm married. Doesn't matter. You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 a.m? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis?
She sounds hideous.
Well, she's a guy, so.
Another reason more people stay with State Farm. Get to a better state.
Is Uzi on the track?
And welcome back to the Eazy and Scuba Steve show. I'm Scuba Steve. Alongside me, Eazy. We were just talking about Group C. We believe France and Denmark will be going through to the round of 16. We'll be covering our picks of the entire knockout stage later on in the show. So let's pick up where we left off. Let's go with Group D now. 4 teams in Group D: Argentina, Croatia, Nigeria, and Iceland. Iceland had that terrific Cinderella story in the Euros a couple years ago, then being thrashed by the host France to end their run. Nigeria, a team that a lot of people really like out of Africa. A team that has a lot of experience in the top of club level. And also those jerseys are really cool.
I love those jerseys. Man. Can't get over those jerseys.
Yeah, I was hoping I could cop one of those from some sweepstakes on Instagram, but probably not. Croatia, you're led by a couple of guys, Mario Mandzukic and Luka Modric.
Also, don't forget Ivan Rakitic.
Rakitic as well.
Very good player for Barcelona.
I believe he's really underrated
he is.
On the Barcelona team.
He does a lot of good things for that Barcelona team. I like him a lot.
I've heard a lot of things in which Rakitic might be replaced pretty soon by a Christian Eriksen if Barcelona is interested in picking up his wages a bit. And then lastly, you have Argentina, who are the favorites to win this group. They are minus 165 to take Group D, and I think that's another group that a group winner that I would take in props. That's not too high of odds. I thought it would be more like the minus 200s, minus 300s for Argentina to take that group.
Look, I mean, Argentina. The line's probably more favorable because of what Argentina showed in their qualifying. I mean, it took a Messi hat trick in the last game of qualifying for Argentina to get into the World Cup. So if you're betting on Argentina to win this group, you're basically betting on the brilliance of Lionel Messi to get the job done. Croatia, it's plus 225, honestly, is not a bad pick, but I just think it's really hard to go against Messi. But at the same time, starting goalkeeper Romero is out for this entire World Cup, which means that Willy Caballero will be starting, which is a little bit questionable in my opinion. There's definitely some question marks there about his ability and how consistent he can be. But
all you have to do is just go back to the Spurs-Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge earlier this season to see how atrocious he was.
And I'm a Chelsea fan too, and that game cost us a Champions League spot, honestly. So
yeah, we'll have our own little talk on the on club teams, the Premier League, Bundesliga, whatnot, as we get closer to the end of summer, which would be more like August, near the beginning of the season. But for right now, dude, this World Cup, we are really excited for this to start up. And I believe from Group D, I think Argentina will go through with ease. I think I'll be more confident in them taking the number 1 spot. And then I got Croatia taking the number 2 spot. I think that talent, their depth is going to be good enough to get past Nigeria and Iceland. I like the Iceland story. I really do. If they make it to the round of 16, that'd be terrific. But in my opinion, as I look at this, I just don't see them going through.
I honestly feel a little bit for Croatia because I think if they were placed in other groups, they're potential group winners. I think they have the quality to be group winners as well. But it's hard to bet against Leo Messi. It really is. Even if Argentina didn't show much in qualifying, it's hard to bet against Messi. It's just he changes the game with every touch. He can change the game in 1 second with one brilliant pass or just one brilliant move. I agree. I think Argentina win this group, and I do think second place is going to be closer than people think maybe even potentially on goal differential. But I do think Croatia in the end go through.
I think Croatia at plus 165 to be eliminated in the round of 16 is going to be a great pick. Eric and I, we think that Croatia will take second place in that group. It won't be for sure. It won't be as for sure as Portugal being second in Group B. But if this would be the case, France will take on Croatia in that round of 16 game, and we believe that France will take that game.
I think. Well, France can be hit or miss at times, but on their day, they are the best. I think they're a top 3 team in this tournament. Just they have so much quality. Griezmann, Pogba.
That midfield is the same. Matuidi.
Kylian Mbappe. Like, I just don't know how the Croatia defense is going to deal with all those attackers. I really think that plus 165 is good value here. I think it's normally the right spot where Croatia would exit in the World Cup too. Get past the group stage, maybe get to the quarterfinals, but most likely get knocked out in the last 16.
So maybe not for you a confident pick at being eliminated in the round of 16, but I believe Croatia being eliminated in the last 16 is a good pick. I'll put that as my safe pick of the tournament, plus 165 on that end.
Well, my only thing.
So you really think that France doesn't?
It's not
France versus Croatia.
It's not about that.
Is it about the actual group? You think
Nigeria
might have a chance?
Or even if Argentina just don't show up like they did in all qualifying, which I think could be possible.
So you can see Croatia taking first place in this group.
I wouldn't be outright. I think it would have to be by goal differential.
Some sort of tie.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
But let me see here. If they were to finish first in that group, they would play.
They'll be playing Denmark.
Right. I think if you're going to go one way with Croatia, plus 165 to exit the last 16 is the way to go. I agree with Steven, but I would it's not one of my confident picks. That's all I'm trying to say here.
Okay. From Group E, let's transition to that. Headlined by Brazil, the 2014 host of the World Cup.
Let's just get this out of the way. Brazil is winning this group.
Brazil, they're going undefeated. They'll beat, they'll have a plus 7 goal differential after 3 wins, in my opinion. I think, friendlies don't really matter, especially leading into the World Cup. It's the last couple that really matter.
Oh, they did just play really well against Austria. And a 3-0 victory.
Right, but you can also say the same thing, the U.S. looked pretty good. They drew against France. Right. So I think people are just going a little bit out of control in terms of, France drawing the U.S. Oh, my God, you got to bet against France. No, you don't. This is a tune-up. Didier Deschamps, he set up his lineup. He set up a starting 11 against that Team USA team. And I didn't think they were going 100%. And why do you need to? You're playing against pretty much like the U21s of Team USA.
I was about to say, you look at that side the USA put out there, and it's definitely
you can
possible.
see the potential over the course of the year. But right now, they could be they're a decent MLS team at best.
It's definitely possible that France let their guard down, just didn't really try as much as they needed to in that game. So, but continuing on to Group B, Brazil is winning this group. Second place, it's going to be really interesting. I do not see.
Does Costa Rica make another run into the knockout stage in the World Cup? They made it all the way to the quarterfinals in 2014.
Navas has to be insane again. He has to be on top of his game in top form. They're going to be defending a lot. It's totally possible. The biggest game in this group, in my opinion, is definitely Switzerland versus Costa Rica. I think that'll decide second place. Switzerland has been playing all that well recently. I definitely think there's a chance for Costa Rica maybe to edge Switzerland. What do you think?
I think Costa Rica and Switzerland are going to tie in points. I think Brazil is going to wipe the floor against this group. But it's going to be the matches between Costa Rica and Switzerland. Switzerland versus Serbia. Serbia versus Costa Rica, that are going to really shape and mold, who's going to come out of this group. And I think it's going to be a tie between Costa Rica and Switzerland. And
I could see that happen.
Switzerland would go through. Costa Rica's guys, I don't think the magic can continue for another 4 years. They're 4 years older. Switzerland is getting a little bit more talented. You can say that the leadership under Xherdan Shaqiri, he's not a bad player. He's gonna be sticking around some of the big clubs. He's not sticking around with Stoke City as they get relegated.
I agree. If Switzerland do go through in this group, Shaqiri will be the difference because he's that one guy who can create his own shot and create play for Switzerland. I really don't think Costa Rica have anybody that can do that. So I think Shaqiri would definitely be the difference, which would. This is one of my favorite picks, honestly. Switzerland to exit in the last 16 at plus 205. Look, whoever comes out, if it's Mexico or Germany, I believe it would be Germany, but they would play most likely Germany in the last 16. I really just don't see how Switzerland win that match. What do you think? Like, I just don't see a way Switzerland
beats Germany.
Yeah,
there's no way. But you take a look at what happened with the Switzerland national team in the Euros in 2016. I mean, they fought hard against a France side that eventually went to the Euro final, a 0-0 draw, and then it had to take penalty kicks for Poland to beat out Switzerland. So Switzerland is not a team to take your eyes off of. A lot of people really like Costa Rica because what they did in 2014, and that's great and all that. But you really need to take an eye on the Switzerland team. I really do.
You also have to remember too that in the 2014 World Cup, they played Argentina. They very easily could have won that game. The game went to extra time. I'm pretty sure Di Maria scored in like the 118th minute to win that game for Argentina. So look out for the Switzerland team. Potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's transition on to Group F. We got 3 more groups to go. Group F, the draw happened in the World Cup for the World Cup. This is back in December, and a lot of people considered, right after the draw ended, Germany, Mexico, Sweden, South Korea. This group is insane, but really, Germany is going to go through with ease, in my opinion. I don't see any of the other 3 teams making a real challenge on Germany.
Yeah, I think that trend of defending World Cup champions exiting at the group stage, I think that will definitely end here.
Germany in Group F, their odds to top this group, it's a little high, minus 305 to take that group. So Vegas is pretty much telling you that we know what's going to happen. Germany is going to take this group. It would take a miracle for possibly Mexico to give them a run for their money. But you look at Sweden, you look at Mexico. Those are the 2 teams that will vie for second place. South Korea had a big setback injury to one of their star players recently, who plays for a French club. Don't remember the name. But are you going to really be led by Heung-min Son throughout the entire way? And I just do not see that happening in this World Cup.
No, Mexico just have a better overall team, in my opinion, than both Sweden and South Korea. I don't think they have the quality to beat Germany, though. Germany's in another class of its own, in my opinion, especially now that Neuer's back and healthy. That team's it's about to be a real force in this World Cup. I think Germany first and Mexico second are 2 pretty clear picks, in my opinion. I'm pretty confident in that happening.
So pretty much, I mean, if Mexico were to get second, then they would be playing Brazil. So that would just be an easy exit in the round of 16 for Mexico. So I would take Mexico last 16 to be eliminated there at plus 205. Their odds to make it out of the group, to be eliminated in the group stage, though, is at minus 140. So Vegas is saying, hey, like Mexico, they're in a tough group. They might not be able to beat out Sweden, But if they go to the last 16, then we also know that they're not going to make it to the quarterfinals.
Right. The only way I see them not finishing second is if in that game versus Sweden, Mexico versus Sweden, Sweden parks the bus, they defend with all their life, and then get a goal on the counter and win 1-0. I mean, Sweden would have to win this game against Mexico in order to have any chance of going through. I think that's really interesting that they're minus 140 to exit the group stage. I thought Mexico was playing pretty well going into this World Cup, so we'll see what happens. I do like plus 205. I think that's really good value because whoever finishes second in that group, even Germany, in my opinion, I don't think they're beating Brazil. I think Brazil's on another level this year.
When we come back, we'll finish out the final two groups of Group G and Group H, and then we'll discuss our picks for the knockout stage when we come back to the Eazy E and Scuba Steve show.
Bobby, you're here again!
Yeah, my doctor told me to reduce stress at work, so I come to Buffalo Wild Wings to eat lunch and watch sports. I get to pick one of 7 entrees, like sandwiches and salads, plus one of 7 sides.
Well, I like sides.
It's so affordable I can finally take a vacation.
Where you gonna go?
Here, Tim, here.
Introducing the new B-Dubs Fast Break Lunch Menu, starting at a new low price. Dine in or order takeout weekdays between 11 and 2. Participation and availability may vary. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports.
So to save some money, we thought, hey, let's bring the amusement park to us.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, step right up, young man. Are you ready to ride the wacky waterfall?
That's just the bathtub with the shower head running.
Nope, it's the wacky waterfall.
It's the shower, Dad.
Waterfall.
Wacky.
There's an easier way to save. To get a free rate quote, go to geico.com. Then buy online, over the phone, or at your local Geico office.
You're at a restaurant just after a meal. The bill comes.
Sir, here's your bill.
Oh my gosh, it's a whopping amount. You pass it on to the next person.
Hey!
He passes it on. And on.
Wait.
Nobody likes unpleasant surprises. Well, why should you? With the new Huts Delight meals, you won't get any surprises in your bill. Just pure value. Enjoy your favorites every day, from pizzas, pastas to sides and drinks, from as low as 14 ringgit per person. Available for dine-in only.
Sublime. It's enjoyable to know you in the concubines. Take off your coats, ladies act like
and we're back. Thank you for tuning in to the Eazy E and Scuba Steve show. This is our first show here on Spreaker.com on the National Sports Radio Station. We set up this show because sports betting the ban on sports betting was deemed unconstitutional just recently, and we thought that Spreaker could use a show about sports betting.
Yeah, especially with the Supreme Court uplifting the ban of sports betting, which now gives states the opportunity to legalize sports betting and to be able to tax it, which I think a lot of these states are going to legalize it because it's just another way for them to make money. So I don't see why not. I don't see why they would uphold the ban in states.
No, I agree. I think that you're doing the similar thing that they're doing on marijuana. Each state has their own right to make it recreational, to tax it, to gain a lot of revenue off that through taxes. And sports betting is just another thing. And the show is all about encouraging something different. If you win a bet, that's a dinner you can take to for your girlfriend, for your wife, for your family. That's a nice night out. And if you lose, you have your loss, you have your days. That's just how it is. But
people love betting. Like, people love betting on sports. Like, it gives people a certain adrenaline. All I would say is to bet responsibly and to bet on whatever amount of money you're comfortable betting with. That's all I would say.
Yeah, you have to I mean, for me, I can throw a good amount of money on Nadal to win the French Open, for example. I mean, that's what I did.
That's just money on the table. But
yeah, that's just like stealing candy from a little baby. But anyway, we're getting off topic here. That's just like the emphasis on our show is to talk about sports betting, mention what we like, what we don't like, and we like to hear from you as well. Comment on our episode page, and we'll be setting up some social media outlets pretty soon as well.
And this won't be our only show. We'll be doing, like, the World Cup is a big deal, but that's not the only thing going on this summer. We have baseball and other sports too, such as tennis. So we'll be discussing bets and other sports too throughout the summer for as long as we can before we have to, unfortunately, go back to school at some point.
I'll probably make a trip up to your neck of the woods. Eric is out of Southern California for school. I'm out of Arizona, so not too far of a drive, not across country.
No, not too far at all. Definitely driving distance. I'll probably make a trip to your neck of the woods as well.
So we'll try to do as many shows as we can over this summer, but more likely than not, maybe we can do something on Skype as well through Spreaker.com. But anyways, we'll let you know more about the scheduling of our shows and whatnot later on, but for right now, let's get back into World Cup props. Let's talk about Group G. We left off from Group F, believing that Germany and Mexico will be the two teams coming out there. We really like Mexico plus 205 to be eliminated in the last 16. We think that Brazil is going to have it easy against Mexico in that round of 16 match.
All I'm going to say is that in the off chance, in the scenario that Germany finished second and Mexico or whoever finishes first, Germany would most likely face Brazil in the last 16. It wouldn't that be fun? Just to see Brazil try and get back at Germany for the 7-1 thrashing of the 2014 World Cup. I think that might be the most watched World Cup game of this whole tournament besides the final. Honestly, that would be incredible. But I don't see that happening. I just want to put that out there. But that would be fun to watch.
Let's talk about Group G. Headlined by two European squads in Belgium and England. And then rounding out this group would be Panama and Tunisia. We'll just put it out there already that Tunisia has no shot in making it past the group stage. You'd think that Panama might put any type of challenge to England. I think Belgium will take first place in this group.
No, look, like, you can't trust England betting-wise. Like, you don't know what you're going to get out of that team. 2014 World Cup, they don't even qualify out of their group. 2016 Euros, they fall to Iceland in what a lot of English people are calling, like, the darkest moment in English soccer history, international English soccer history. Although I just can't see England finishing lower than second this time around, but I do think they're going to have one of those stupid games in which they should win, but they'll either draw or lose because they'll choke in the last few minutes of the game, which leads me to believe that Belgium will win this group. I really think they just have the most quality out of anyone. I know they haven't put it all together in recent big tournaments, but maybe this is the time that they do. And also, at minus 125, I think that's really good value for them to win this group. If they show up at all, I think they finish first in this group. What do you think?
They should finish first in this group. They really should. But my issue is I have a big problem with either or paths that they go. If they get first place, which they should get, then they would face any of the four teams in Group H, really, except for Japan. Senegal, Poland, Colombia, all three of them have a shot in making it to the round of 16.
I'm totally with you there. Yeah.
So you really don't know what we're getting out of there. We'll get to Group H in just a sec.
Right.
But with Belgium, if they get past any of those teams, and I think that they could, then in the quarterfinals they're facing Brazil, which I don't think they're going to beat Brazil, or they'd beat Germany, or they have to play Germany, and they're not beating Germany as well. So in my opinion, I think Belgium at plus 225 to be eliminated in the quarterfinal is another safe pick.
I actually hadn't looked at that, but now that you bring it up, I actually really like that. I mean, I'm not going to put money, or I'm not going to trust Belgium to get past the quarterfinals in any major competition until I actually see it. Euro 2016, they get to the quarterfinals and lose to Wales, a team that Belgium has much more quality, but they just didn't show up on the day. And 2014 World Cup, I'm pretty sure they lost to Argentina in the quarterfinals. I mean, for some reason, this team just can't put it together. And also, I don't like their coach, Robert Martinez. He used to coach Everton. I just don't trust that guy. I don't think he's a very good manager. So I think quarterfinals sounds about right for Belgium, in my opinion.
And then we don't like England much.
It's hard
We're
to
just
trust.
so shaky.
Yeah.
But barring like a miracle effort from Panama, I think that England will go through.
Yeah.
But it just depends on who's going to come out of Group H. So for right now, we're going to stick with, let's do Belgium number 1 and then England number 2.
I think, that's the safe thing to do in this situation for sure.
Then let's go to Group H, figure out who Belgium and England will be facing off against. Group H is Colombia, Poland, Senegal, and Japan. I got Japan going winless in this group. I just see a lot of talent with the 3 other teams. Senegal should put up a really good fight. I think they just barely miss out, and I think Colombia and Poland in that order are going to the knockout stage.
I'm actually going to disagree with you here. I agree about Colombia finishing first. So I think they even did well last World Cup without Radamel Falcao, who is a really good striker and is very important to Colombia. I think they'll finish first, but I actually think Senegal might finish second here. I really like this team. Sadio Mane, Balde Diao, Koulibaly. They have good players. I could be totally wrong. Poland have Robert Lewandowski and some other great players as well. They also have a decent goalkeeper in Fabianski, but I think second's a toss-up. I think this whole group could be potentially a toss-up. This is the most interesting group in the World Cup for sure. The most wide open for sure, in my opinion.
Yeah, wouldn't you say that this could be the group of death, really? I mean, Group F, we kind of know what we're getting out of there. South Korea will definitely not make it with their lack of depth. The 2 other teams that are vying for that second spot, they're not great. Mexico, anyone can come out of CONCACAF except for the U.S. for that matter.
Just embarrassing, but we're not going to talk about that.
We'll get to that discussion later on another episode. And then Sweden, you kind of don't know what you're getting out of Sweden, especially when you have no Zlatan Ibrahimovic. If he was on the squad, I would, that would be more of an even matchup between Mexico and Sweden. But that's not the case.
Right.
Then I have Mexico edging out. But I was talking about Switzerland earlier, about Group E, I believe, and how this team is a great team. They'll go up against these big clubs like France in the Euros to draw them. They could have beat Poland.
Argentina in 2014. Yeah. 118th minute.
Right.
1-0 game.
Yeah, total luck. But right here, I really like Poland. I really do. Lewandowski, he's going to be a contender for sure for the Golden Boot. And I think his efforts, if he really shows up and puts out a display, because he might be leaving Bayern Munich. And all these guys, the World Cup is all about improving your stock on the club level. And if Robert Lewandowski can show that he is, the top striker in the world, then move over, Ronaldo. You don't need to be paid much. We can give Lewandowski the same amount of wages that we were thinking about giving you.
No one showcased their talent more in the 2014 World Cup than James Rodriguez. I mean,
that's why he ended up in Real Madrid
for 80 million euros right after the World Cup. He really showcased how good of a player he is in that 2014 World Cup.
You can say the case, for Toni Kroos, for Keylor Navas. Germany wins the World Cup. Costa Rica makes that miracle run. Real Madrid wants guys that show up on the big stage, and that can translate to perhaps all the success that they've had in the Champions League in that big stage to win the Champions League 3 straight years. So you have Colombia and Senegal.
That's also a little bit of a biased pick because I am an African American, and I would really want to see at least one African team make the round of 16. I think Senegal have the best chance to do that. I hope it happens, but I wouldn't be surprised if Poland finished second either.
So if you agree on Eric with Senegal moving on to the round of 16, and if you believe that Senegal doesn't make it past the round of 16, they are plus 235 to be eliminated in the round of 16. That could be some good value as well coming from Eric's side. So we finished all the groups. Let's actually get into our real picks.
Yeah.
I mean, you already know who the winners are in our opinions. I have Brazil and you have Spain. Well, let's see how we got here. So I'll just give you a run through over my picks to the quarterfinals. My quarterfinal matchup will go as followed. It'll be Portugal versus France, a rematch of the Euro 2016 final. I'll have Brazil. I'm going to go Brazil against Poland on the left side of the bracket. So Portugal, France, Brazil, and Belgium. And then on the right side of the bracket, your quarterfinal matchup will be Spain versus Argentina, which is very interesting. And then I'll go Germany versus Colombia. Colombia beating England, Germany beating Switzerland, Argentina being Denmark, Spain being Egypt.
So we're different in only a couple places. I have Uruguay beating Portugal. I just think Cavani and Suarez are going to get the job done against Portugal. I think that game can honestly go to penalties. I think that might be the most evenly matched round of 16 match that we have in this tournament.
It's a must watch. But in terms of, would that be more of a stay away game for that exact game?
Yeah, I would stay away from this game. I'd stay away just from a betting purpose because I think this game could go either way. I think Uruguay could win, but I totally see where Steven's coming from with Portugal as well.
I think Portugal gets helped out a lot with a lot of luck.
And that's why
some perfect timing at the right times for some set pieces, from cuts into the 8-yard box. So
And see, that's why I think that Portugal might lose here. Because I think, although they deserve to win the Euro 2016, I think they rode a little bit of luck on that title run, and I think their luck will run out here. But for the rest of my last 16 picks, I have France beating Croatia, which will set up France versus Uruguay. I have Brazil beating Mexico. I have Belgium beating Poland. Now, on the other side, exact same as Steven. I have Spain advancing, Argentina advancing, Germany advancing, and Colombia advancing. So we're on the right side of the bracket, we have the exact same thing.
And then on the left side, a little different. You have Uruguay, France, Brazil, Belgium. I just have the Portugal pick over Uruguay.
Yeah.
But let's talk about teams that would make to the semifinals. We look at the matchup. This is Portugal and France now from my side. And I think France will go through. And I think that even though Uruguay is not Portugal, with our picks, you still have France going to the semifinals.
Yeah, we're both on board France getting through. Just too much quality there, in my opinion.
France, their odds to make it to the semifinal is plus 115. Would you take that at all? Would you have any interest of putting plus 115 on the line for France to make it to the semifinal?
Yeah, that's actually... I'm surprised they're not in the minus. I mean, look, it's the semifinals, so obviously they have to win a lot of matches to get there, but I think out of all the favorites, I think they would have the easiest quarterfinal match. So yeah, I think that's something I would have confidence in saying, yeah, I think France will get to the semifinals.
Let's talk about the second match in that left side of the bracket. For the quarterfinals, will be Brazil versus Belgium. I think it's self-explanatory there. I think you can finally see the erosion of Belgium, their lack of chemistry throughout that entire squad being their doom, and Brazil beating them. I think by a score of 2-0.
Yeah, I mean, look, Brazil have the best player in Neymar. Although Kevin De Bruyne is going to be very important for Belgium, so I think Brazil could potentially go really far this year. I really like this Brazil team, especially with the goalkeeper and striker now that they didn't have in 2014. I think they're too much. I think they could win 1-0 or 2-0, honestly.
Brazil plus 110, according to Vegas, to make it to the semifinal. Let's go over to the right side. Oh, pardon me.
I was just going to say I'm more confident in France making it than Brazil.
Okay. I mean, it's pretty much the same odds, plus 115, plus 110. But I totally agree. I think France has a more as a safer,
it's just safer,
the safer path to the semifinal.
Yeah.
Croatia, that'll be very easy. Pardon me. And then you hope that their match against Portugal or Uruguay goes their way. Hopefully the defense holds, contains Suarez and Cavani, and then the counterattack really goes after their weakness, which is really the defense on the Uruguay side.
The one thing I will say is Koscielny, I'm pretty sure, is missing this World Cup with an injury. So would it be Samuel Umtiti?
Yeah, Umtiti. Yeah,
I'm still confident in that.
Yeah,
I
really like that. The cornerback duo between Umtiti and Varane.
I like
that could be really dangerous, and that could be very beneficial to France's run to a possible World Cup final.
That's also just a cornerback pairing for the future too. Just two very young, fast, pacey center backs.
And they're every year in and year out, they're playing in the big matches, so they have experience in those type of games. Like with Varane, he is on the Real Madrid squad that's won 3 Champions League titles in a row, and Umtiti is on Barcelona. They won one in 2015. I don't believe he was there at the time, but he's constantly playing the Champions League, constantly facing as the best players in the world. So I think that, like you said, it's a really good pairing out of France,
especially Varane too. Because whoever who's listening, if you watched Real Madrid this year, you know they weren't great defensively, but Varane was the one guy who I usually trusted in that Real defense to at least defend at a somewhat high level. So I really like him a lot. I know my club Chelsea have been pursuing him for years, but that's probably not going to happen now. But moving on, let's get to the right side of the bracket now.
Quarterfinal number 1, we have Spain taking on Argentina, and I have Spain winning that match.
I do. I think that's the quarterfinal of the tournament. I think that's the best quarterfinal match of this tournament. Look, I mean, it's hard to bet against Lionel Messi, but Spain are just so good as a team. And I think they're going to expose Argentina's weakness in defense and midfield. I think Messi covers up for a lot of Argentina's weaknesses, and I think Spain is the perfect team to expose that. So I like Spain winning this match. And honestly, I like them winning in comfortable fashion as well.
Spain plus 135 to make it to the semifinal. For believers of Argentina, their odds to make it to the semifinal for a second World Cup in a row are at plus 185. Let's go to that final quarterfinal between Germany and Colombia. It'll be a high-scoring match. I think it'll be by a final score of 3-2. Something that will be looked back on for years to come. But I think Germany eventually holds on with their experience, with their just the overall depth on this team continues to amaze me.
Yeah, and I trust Germany's defense a lot more than I trust Colombia's. I think both attacking wise, they could be considered pretty equal. You have guys such as James Rodriguez, Falcao, and Cuadrado on Colombia. Then you have Ozil, Müller, Bellarabi. I was surprised that Sané was left off the World Cup squad. I'll get into that another time, but I like Germany. I like Germany to advance in this match.
Germany has the the lowest odds to make it to the semifinal.
Yes.
The highest. There's only a plus 105. I mean, no other team has those type of odds.
They're the biggest favorites to make the semifinals.
Yeah, you have if you have any upset picks, you think Poland at plus 605, Portugal plus 450. But I think for the semifinal, we have 4 powerhouse teams making it to the semifinal.
Which is usually how it goes.
That should be.
You have upsets and stuff in the group stages and in the round of 16 occasionally, but when we get to the last 4, it's usually the powerhouses that are there.
I absolutely agree.
And in my opinion, France and Germany are the 2 safest picks to bet to make the semifinals. That's my opinion.
Say that again.
France and Germany are the two safest picks to make the semifinals. Just based off their draw.
Again, France plus 115 to make it to the semifinal. That could be a good value. And Germany's road to the semifinal would be just really easy. I mean, you're taking on Costa Rica and then you're taking on Colombia or England. I mean, those are two teams that they should go through with ease.
I would say Spain because I am picking them to win the tournament, but I'm giving respect to Messi because Messi can change the game. So
yeah, like I said, Spain plus 135, not as great, not as good of odds as Germany with plus 105. But let's move on now to the semifinal. A couple of great matches here.
Seriously.
We've actually the four semifinalists. Eric and I have the same thing: France versus Brazil. Spain versus Germany. Let's start with France versus Brazil.
On my sheet here, I have France winning, but I'm actually going to change that to Brazil winning. Look, I trust Brazil a little bit more in the big stage. I think they're going to try and prove themselves right after getting absolutely trashed in the semifinal of 2014 against Germany, 7-1. I think they have a point to prove. I think the best player on the field is Neymar. I think he has his moment here since he wasn't able to have his moment in 2014 due to injury. I think Brazil win this match and what's going to be a very, very close match, probably 2-1. I do think both sides score here though.
Like I said earlier in the show, I'm a big Tottenham fan. And, the captain and the goalie of this France squad is Hugo Lloris.
Right.
But more often than not, he doesn't really show up in the big stage. I mean, you can say that his efforts against Real Madrid in the Champions League were pretty good. But there are other games where they're playing, a relegation zone team in the Premier League, and he has an atrocious game. You just kind of don't know what we're getting out of him. And I think that's why I'm not as confident with France making it to the final than I am with Brazil. Brazil continues to amaze me with their depth as well. I just can't get over their attacking. I mean, they're going to have a couple of guys on the bench that would start on other national teams.
It's great.
On other national teams, you can say that Willian can start obviously for a Portuguese side. He can start for an Argentinian side.
Even Roberto Firmino not starting is just crazy after the year that he had with Liverpool.
That just speaks volumes of how good this attacking prowess that Brazil has. And that's why we both have Brazil as a finalist for the 2018 World Cup. Let's talk about the second semifinal between Spain and Germany.
I think you guys know who I'm going to take here because they're my winner. I'm taking Spain. Look, Germany won the World Cup in 2014. I think their luck runs out here. Other things, I don't know. This game could go to penalties. I think both teams are very even. I just see Spain having that little bit of extra fight and motivation at the end of this game. And I think this is a very defensive game. If it's won in regular time or extra time, it's a 1-0 or 2-1 scoreline.
Spain plus 325 to make it to the final. We also mentioned Brazil would make it, and they're plus 225 their odds to making it to the final. So I have Spain as well making it to the final. I like you said, kind of the luck runs out. I have this match being 1-1. I'll have it be a draw. This will go to penalty kicks for sure. So this is it. I don't think do we really need to talk about the third place game? No.
I think we're fine.
It'd be France versus Germany in that third place match. I have Germany winning 1-0.
Yeah, I think Germany will show a little bit more pride in that third and fourth place match. I don't know. I trust Germany to show up more and represent their country more than France.
And this is it, folks. As we wrap up an hour into the first edition of the Eazy and Scuba Steve show, it is our prediction of the World Cup final. It is Brazil versus Spain. I have Brazil winning. Final score of 2-1. I thought I was going to make it 1-0, but I can see a little more attacking going on, a little less defense. 2-1 my final score. Brazil, they had the chip on the shoulder the entire tournament. Neymar closing his eyes, having to remember being on the bench of that 7-1 thrashing to Germany. No more. He has done his job. The Brazilian squad has done their job in winning the World Cup.
And for much of the same reason you just said, I have Spain winning the World Cup 2-0 over Brazil. Look, these players are going to come in with a chip on their shoulder after being eliminated in the group stage at the 2014 World Cup. That just doesn't really happen to Spain, I know. And guys such as Iniesta, these guys, this is probably their last World Cup run, and I think they're going to want to make the most of it. And I just think Spain's midfield can dominate this whole tournament. I think they can dominate this final. I think Diego Costa does a good enough job finishing. I could see Spain winning the 2018 World Cup 2-0 over Brazil. I think De Gea gets hot. I think De Gea makes some really good saves. And I think the game stays at 1-0 for a good amount of time, and then Spain add a consolation goal when Brazil throws the kitchen sink at them in stoppage time. So 2-0 for Spain to win the 2018 World Cup.
If you like my pick, go with Brazil at plus 325 to win the World Cup. If you agree with Eric and think Spain are going to win it, go with those odds at plus 605.
I really think plus 605 is pretty good for Spain, and they're one of the favorites to win this tournament too.
When we come back, we'll have our final word about talking about the World Cup, maybe throw in some baseball picks for this Monday, June 11th, here on the Eazy and Scuba Steve show.
Bobby, you here again?
Yeah, my doctor told me to reduce stress at work, so I come to Buffalo Wild Wings to eat lunch and watch sports. I get to pick one of 7 entrees, like sandwiches and salads, plus one of 7 sides.
Well, I like sides.
It's so affordable I can finally take a vacation.
Where you gonna go?
Here, Tim, here.
Introducing the new B-Dubs Fast Break Lunch Menu, starting at a new low price. Dine in or order takeout weekdays between 11 and 2. Participation and availability may vary. Buffalo Wild Wings, beer, sports.
His new improved website lets you book a room and save more for what you travel for faster than ever. Even faster than you can find your keys, which you swore were right on the little hooky thing by the garage door where they always are, and we can land a robot on a comet, but we can't keep keys from disappearing. Oh, here they are. Left them in my jacket. Don't you hate that? I'm Tom Bodette for the new improved Motel6.com, and we'll leave the light on for you.
Bobby, you here again?
Yeah, my doctor told me to reduce stress at work, so I come to Buffalo Wild Wings to eat lunch and watch sports. I get to pick one of 7 entrees, like sandwiches and salads, plus one of 7 sides.
Well, I like sides.
It's so affordable I can finally take a vacation.
Where you gonna go?
Here, Tim, here.
Introducing the new B-Dubs Fast Break Lunch Menu, starting at a new low price. Dine in or order takeout weekdays between 11 and 2. Participation and availability may vary. Buffalo Wild Wings, beer, sports.
Yeah, I'm married. Doesn't matter. You do that for me? Really? Yeah, I'd like that.
Who are you talking to?
It's Jake from State Farm. Sounds like a really good deal.
Jake from State Farm at 3 in the morning? Who is this?
It's Jake from State Farm.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Khakis.
She sounds hideous.
Well, she's a guy, so...
Another reason more people stay with State Farm. Get to a better state.
Final word here on the Eazy and Scuba Steve show. I'm Scuba Steve, Eazy to my right here. The final word, we'll I have a baseball prop going on today. I'll just mention that right now. On this June 11th, 4-team parlay with 4 teams. I'm going to do Boston minus 120 with their knuckleballer Stephen Wright on the mound taking on Dylan Bundy of the Baltimore Orioles. Boston's on the road, but Boston's just been insane this year. I think they continue their hot streak. JD Martinez, I think that he's going to hit a home run off of Bundy. Second pick will be the Giants minus 1.5 against the Miami Marlins in Miami. I think the Giants are just on a hot streak. Brandon Crawford is the hottest hitter on the planet right now. He has one of the top batting averages in the National League for a guy that's really been a 270 batter throughout his entire career up to this season. So it's been terrific seeing that. The Giants were at odds. They were at plus 260 on the money line to beat the Nationals yesterday. If you made that pick, I mean, props to you. You made that confident pick to have the Giants and Derek Holland being the Nationals starting Max Scherzer. That is a gutsy move, my friend. My third pick will be Milwaukee at plus 115. Quintana's got good numbers against the Brewers, the Cubs starter for today's game, but I think the Brewers have been on a hot streak. They did really well in Philadelphia in that 3-game set. I think now Milwaukee carries that back at home to take on a division foe in the Cubs. And Milwaukee needs to separate themselves a bit in the National League Central if they're going to really pursue a division title this season. I have Milwaukee winning at plus 115. Finally, Arizona with Patrick Corbin on the mound. I have them on the spread at minus 1.5 at odds of plus 145. Arizona at home is pretty good. I think Pittsburgh is cooling off a lot. I think they're going to be starting their rebuilding phase after the All-Star break. But for right now, enjoy your times of winning. But I can see a downhill slope for the Pirates coming our way pretty soon. So that's the 4. My bad. Those are my 4 teams. The odds to win that is plus 175. My winnings could be 174 on that.
I have not looked at any baseball today. But just looking at what Steven has, I would suggest under 8.5 for that Cubs Brewers game. I think both pitchers have very good numbers against the opposing teams, so expect that to be a very low scoring game. And then I like the Boston pick, and then that's all. And then now for my last word, we're going to talk about where LeBron James will be playing next season because. I don't know about you, Steven. I can't see him staying in Cleveland. They don't have any cap space. The Brooklyn pick is only the 8th pick in the draft. That's not good enough to get a marquee player like in any sort of trade. Kevin Love's value is way down. If he wants to continue chasing titles and winning rings, I just don't see him staying in Cleveland. Now, there are a lot of interesting places where he can go, such as the Lakers, Sixers, Rockets. Some even say the Warriors. I would stop watching basketball if he went to the Warriors. I'll just say that right now. But Houston is a really interesting one, although the idea of LeBron going west is almost foreign because he's been in this Eastern Conference his whole career where really the East has not been nearly as good as the West. And he's able to save a lot of energy during the regular season because a lot of these East teams nowadays are tanking and they want to lose, which is really sad. I think the NBA has to figure out the tanking issue. But what do you think about LeBron and him potentially moving?
I see the odds. I looked straight at the Lakers odds. I think that they should be the favorites to get him. Their cap space is wide open. They'll be shedding contracts as well if there's any interest of LeBron coming to LA. Because with LeBron, there's going to be another star coming with them. It's not just going to be LeBron. It's going to be Alonzo. It'll be Kuzma. It'll be LeBron. And then you'll think about, okay, like do we bring in Paul George? Do we bring in Kawhi from the Spurs? I just don't see why people just don't think of the Lakers, and it's just like that's a great.
He did just buy, I think, a $23 million mansion in Brentwood.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
And then everybody's bringing up the Sixers. The Sixers work on a basketball level. The Lakers work on everything on a basketball level. You can pretty much run the team. Pretty much, Magic Johnson will give you the keys.
That's his idol.
That's exactly.
LeBron's idol.
Magic Johnson will give LeBron James the keys to this team. And he can make Lonzo a better player. He can make Kuzma a better player. He can make Paul George or whatever star comes with them, he will make him better as well.
Now, a couple of things. For Philly, I still have somewhat of an issue about when I think about how Simmons and LeBron fit together.
They're too similar. I think they're too similar.
I think it's, especially Simmons can't shoot, so the floor spacing could be an issue there. Lakers, it could be argued they're too young. I think he would have to bring Kawhi and maybe another guy for immediate help, such as Paul George. I'm not saying do this, but I think it's really interesting. I also think the Boston Celtics at plus 5,000 is really interesting. If they really want, that team is so young. Boston has the draft picks to trade Cleveland. If LeBron signs, if he opts into the deal and then gets traded like Chris Paul did last summer, he basically told the Clippers, I'm going to leave and go to Houston. You can either let me go or you can trade me and get something for me, which they ended up trading him, and they got some nice role pieces for him. I think, I'm not saying do this because I'm not sure it'll happen, but I think it's really interesting because I think if Cleveland wants to take on Gordon Hayward, the salaries for Hayward and LeBron could almost be identical. I think it's a really interesting one. And Boston has the pieces where LeBron can take some nights off, like Jason Tatum is going to be even better next year. Although the one thing I would say is him and Kyrie Irving being on the same team again would be maybe a little iffy, but what else do you think? I think Houston's also a real possibility at plus 1,000.
Just for I throw a few bucks on Warriors plus 5,000. Honestly, I know no one is gonna like that. I was listening to something that Stephen A. was talking about. He heard something about LeBron James maybe being open to a meeting with the Warriors. This would tarnish LeBron James's legacy.
I would lose all respect for LeBron if he went to the Warriors, no doubt. And I have a lot of respect for LeBron. I have a lot of respect for LeBron James, but if he went to this team, I would lose all respect.
Just for 1 year, just to win one title.
But then it's a one-team league at that point. We all know who's winning. There's no point in watching the league.
A team with 3 MVPs, 2 other All-Stars. I mean, you're talking about that's a starting lineup there.
They would have to trade Draymond or Clay, right? I mean, unless Joe Lacob wants to pay maybe $200 million in luxury tax. Because that's the thing here. It's money. Because LeBron's getting a max contract. He's not taking anything less than that, which is really important to recognize here.
I think that if you're looking for a solid bet, I think you throw the big money bet on the Lakers plus 200. If you're just looking for just a total upset, didn't see that coming, similar to what Kevin Durant did. We didn't see him going to the Warriors. We saw him maybe re-signing with Oklahoma City or possibly going to his hometown to the Wizards. But he goes to the Warriors. So if you're looking to make big money off a surprise pick for $10 or something, go with the Warriors plus 5,000.
I do think Houston's also interesting because there is the theory that
when CP3 wants the supermax contract, if he wants that, then they're gonna have no depth outside of Harden, Chris Paul, and LeBron James.
If they could somehow trade that Ryan Anderson contract, that would help a lot. Because he's taking up $20 million in cap space right now. If they could somehow get that off the books, that would be huge. But we'll discuss more of that on a later date for sure. Because this topic could be talked about for an entire show. But I'll just leave it at that. I'll say Lakers at plus 200 is interesting because he has 2 mansions in LA. All of his businesses are in LA. Boston's interesting at plus 5,000. And if he wants to win, go to Houston. But that's my opinion.
Anyways, that is going to be our first show. We're wrapping up here. Thank you very much for tuning in. We'll set up some social media outlets via Twitter, via Facebook very shortly. For the Eazy and Scuba Steve show, I'm Scuba Steve.
I'm Eric.
And this has been our first show. Thank you for tuning in. and enjoy the remainder of your Monday.